Hello friends and welcome to another replay analysis. Today we're going to look at Witch Doctor playing position 5. This is, what was it, Crusader? Yeah, Crusader 4. And you know that, well, in your message you said that, okay, you think your draft is kind of bad, so you're not that surprised you lost, but you're still looking for ways to improve since you've been getting a little frustrated with your bracket, and that's pretty understandable. Now the first thing I want to say, you currently have 2 wards. That's pretty unconventional. Maybe no one else on your team was buying them, and so you decided to pick it up. That's not your fault. That's not ideal. It's not your fault. But if you do have to be the guy to place 2 wards, what I suggest you do, run down mid. I mean, not like feed run down mid. I mean like head down the mid lane, plant the ward here or here. You know, not getting seen, you can't walk too far out. So I think since you're going to be heading to the bottom lane, it's fine to like come over here, drop the ward somewhere here, and then, you know, curve back around, and then place your ward somewhere down here. You don't want the enemy team to see that you have 2 wards, because let's say they see you down here, then they know that top lane is definitely not going to have a ward. You might at some point come ward mid, but, you know, what are the odds you make your way all the way top? It's not happening. So it's good practice to try not to get spotted. Now, besides that, I don't have too much issue with your starting items. It's kind of hard to tell who's in your lane. I guess we'll just see. I kind of think it's Tiny 4 seems the most sense. And then I suppose it's like Viper off lane or Invoker off lane. Viper makes a bit more sense. Mangoes, I guess the reason I'm thinking about it is because mangoes tell me, okay, we're gonna try to like use this cask maledict combo a couple times and try to get kills. That's pretty tough against a Viper, who I would say generally does well against melee cores. Okay, so now you're coming towards, so I definitely think this is something you want to do before all this, because if they were checking your items, they would see that you had a ward. But that's just a kind of a minor thing in the grand scheme of things. All right, Tiny's behind you. I really recommend, you don't need to Tango yet, but at some point you will. Cut this tree right here. That'll give you a path to walk through in between here. Against Tiny 4, you could also consider starting a Quelling Blade. That might be, I don't know if you want to attempt that, but if you need more info on that, there's a video for it. But you'll get by just fine. So now you could Tango. Go ahead and Tango like this tree. Yeah, see, because right now we just can't play in this area. So for your second ward, let's finish that thought. I think coming up mid lane, placing the ward here, you know, over here is fine too, actually. And this is actually pretty good if Tiny's going to roam a lot. I don't know if that happens at this rank, to be honest. But if that's what you were thinking about, that's actually really good. And then I think placing the other ward somewhere over here would be really nice, so that you can see Tiny. You see how he's gotten a couple attacks on you like this when you weren't sure where he was and suddenly he sneaks up on you? That is what we are looking to avoid. And you avoid that either with this ward or with that Quelling Blade start I mentioned, where you just cut all these trees so you can see where Tiny is. We just don't want Tiny to get on top of us. Speaking of which, your positioning is a little aggressive here. You have to keep in mind you are against a Viper and Tiny, so I know you are trying to harass him. So you're trying to like come up this way, but it's like, it's really scary to do that unless you know where Tiny is. So alternatively, what could you do? Right around this time, you could be walking around the back here to go attempt a half pull, I would say. Running back and forth like this, you're just going to take a couple extra auto attacks. Since you were already running this way, you want to keep running, cut this tree, come out. Because that we're going to take a bit of damage here. I'm gonna salve. So at this point you kind of have to salve, but we really would have preferred not to salve yourself. You would have preferred to not take that huge chunk of damage and then Tango up. I mean, this might sound obvious, but I want to lay out the ramifications of, like, you know, this small misplay is leading to bigger consequences. That consequence being that you had to healing salve yourself. This right here is why you want to not do that, because Viper is going to constantly harass, he's even got 3 mangoes here, with poison attack on this melee core. his life is going to be miserable. I'm surprised he hasn't been taking more damage already yet. But that's kind of what you want your Sal for. It's very tough to play this lane. I think it's tough to kill Viper and Tiny, and I would just focus on doing a lot of pulls. That means you're going to leave him alone a little bit, and hopefully that's okay because we're going to try to balance the lane in his favor, but he will take damage. But that's not so big a deal if you have regen for him. So when you have to use it on yourself, you may have to buy more regen now, is what we're getting to. And that could have been avoided by placing this ward down sooner, seeing Tiny, all that kind of stuff. Now Tiny ends up getting the first pull. Now this may not be the worst, but I do think you want to come check the small camp. It may not have spawned. Tiny may have blocked it, but I don't know if you know that. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If it isn't blocked though, you would want to stack it right around now. Sven is just a hero that could clear stacks if he's forced to do that, but it really means that you'll be able to make use of some pulls later with the stacked camp. Looks like the small camp is now stacked. Try to do I think you were trying to save Sven, so you're trying to throw the stun out first, but the combo really is to try to hit Maledict first and then use the paralyzing cask. But more than that, Tiny just was not. So let's slow down here. So Tiny's coming. What's he going to do? He's going to try to toss Sven back, and then he's going to run in an avalanche. So if you use cask here, no, never mind. He used avalanche to catch up to him. If you use cask here, it's going to hit him and stun him, but it's not going to bounce to anything. So I think it would be better to use Maledict first, and then when he runs in, and like right around now-ish, a little further, now you could paralyzing cask, and it would bounce between these guys. And that's got a bit more value. Just some slight spell usage efficiency. Oh, you did get another salve. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's see what you're going to do with this. You decide to block the hard camp. Tiny's already got a sentry down, it seems. I don't know if you needed to block the hard camp anyways. Sven, On one hand, Sven is a hero that can make use of the hard camp quite quickly. So you kind of want it open. On the other hand, this is a lane that is pretty oppressive, and so they could shut you out and try to do a lot of blocks. So I understand the pull. But then Sven Witch Doctor is also like kind of a decently strong lane, where I think maybe you could fight them if they do pulls, especially if you'd done some pulls before to like get them a little lower. In the end, I don't hate the idea of blocking. Right here, I think you should Maledict this guy. Maledict and chase him and keep auto attacking, and maybe even Sven runs up and stuns, and then you stun, and then I think Tiny might even just die there. He interrupts the pull. That deny is unfortunate. Try to go for those. Now we're gonna look for another pull. Okay. I think this should be a half pull, because this is going to push the lane again, and when you're playing against an aggressive lane like we just mentioned, we're scared to play against Viper and Tiny because they could kill us. So we want to avoid pushing the lane, and doing a full pull there is going to push the lane. Okay, salving him up, that's good. Tangoing. Yeah, so far we've used 3 tangos, and this tree is still up. You really want this tree cut. It's really important to be able to walk between those trees right there. Now this is a tough lane. I think it's possible to like outplay it and come out ahead, but I also like don't feel bad if you are losing this lane. Like, it is a tough lane. What I want you to remember is that it's kind of okay to lose this lane. Viper is meant to win his lanes. Sven is meant to farm up later. So our goal right now, because this hasn't started off to the best on the best foot, our goal right now, let's get Sven to about at least level 5, where he'll have 3 points in cleave. Then if he has to go to the jungle, he'll at least be able to jungle somewhat efficiently. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's been last hitting too well so far. I guess I'm wrong. I guess he's like, at least he's up here a bit. Oh, there we go. I was wondering because I didn't see any of his items. Probably not the item, but we're not going to worry about him. So this actually happens to work out, and I think this half pull is good, but to guarantee the pull, whether you were attempting to do a full pull or half pull, stop right here where you're at, wait a second, let them start an attack on you, and then run forward. And then when the auto attack lands and hits you, it will aggro whatever is within range. So if you wanted a half pull, you could do it. If you want a full pull, this works because these auto attacks land, and you're within aggro range of those two creeps. And unfortunately, because it was all so far back, they lost sight of them and lost aggro range, so they're going to return to lane. This is actually still somewhat okay, because when you have two creeps, when you delay the creeps, like what just happened, you have two creeps against 3, and that's going to win, and then it's going to push, and then it's going to be 3 creeps against 2 again. Of course, they're going to be a little weakened, but if this Viper attacks at all, like he is, it's going to help. I don't know where the other creeps are, actually. Must have been from other lane balancing. We'll kill Viper here. Maledict first would have been ideal, but we're still going to get the kill. Looks like Tiny's going to get away. We could run to the rune right now. I don't know if Tiny would have gotten it. He may have gotten it, actually. No. He came to help the Viper. Yeah, so no one's gotten these runes yet. So right after this, once you can... Okay, once he's safe right now, I think it's okay to risk your life and run straight this way and try to secure both runes. If you die for that, that's fine. This is a lot of money spent on consumables, which I don't hate, but I also don't love it. The more money you spend on consumables, obviously the poorer you're going to be. And in fact, because this is going to be... I know you just got a kill with this skill build on Viper. And I know this is the most common build for Witch Doctor. It's also possible to do this Voodoo Restoration build, and I think that might have had some merit against Viper. And you may have been able to save on consumables that way. Well, I mean, you would have had to spend money on some mana regen anyways, but maybe that would have made it easier for Sven to just farm up. But having said that, it's pretty niche, so I don't hate it, what you did instead. Try to start with the Maledict if you can. It's just going to be more efficient because of the way it works. It looks like you might still get this kill. Ugh. Holy crap. Ends up extremely close. Yeah, let's get out of here. Ooh, okay. Yeah, give that Tango over to him. Start walking home. I saw you ferry some stuff out. I don't know what you got. Okay, so you're still going to be able to play the lane, actually, when that stuff arrives. Because in that time, you're going to heal up to about here, probably. And some mana, and then the mangoes. So in that time, I want you to walk down. Actually, before I tell this, let's see, just see what you do. I want you to walk to that courier and stack along the way. Now, it looks like you're going to do a pull instead. Because it's a full pull again on a single wave, though, this is going to end up pushing the wave. And you're actually going to take a lot of tower damage because this was a catapult wave as well. Anytime a catapult is coming in, you want to be careful of pulling because you might get... you might take a lot of tower damage, kind of like we just saw. You also want to be careful whenever you don't see Tiny. We really need a ward down here. He had a sentry earlier, so getting a couple sentries to check here. I know you're probably feeling poor because like you've had to spend so much money on consumables. Oh, there we go. That might have been a little too defensive. It might need to be further out. Before walking out, you also need to try to place a ward down here for the Sven. I don't mind this teleport if it's a warding mission. You know, like teleport here, de-ward, ward, run over, ward, try to gank mid or something. But otherwise, all you've really done is ward here. And I know you placed a sentry here, but this isn't like urgent if you're not going to place a ward as well. So you could have just walked mid and saved your teleport. Now you've teleported bottom and walked away, and if they go on Sven, you're not going to be able to TP to help the guy. Because this lane has been a little rough, we want to stack for Sven as much as possible. So right now, I do want you in the lane, but at the same time, I also think you could find a moment to stack this medium camp, or when you saw Sven here, maybe you walk to the Ancient and stack that. Having said that, I also do want you to get this XP here. Based on your item order, looks like you're saving straight for Arcane Boots. I think you should at least pick up the Magic Stick first. That item, you're going to need a Magic Stick, and it's just going to be... it's generally better. A lot of times you don't actually need Arcane Boots. Like right now you're sitting at full mana. Okay, good. I think that was a second too early, but at least you were thinking about it. That's what matters. All right, let's head top, make something happen. Yeah, looks like that. Cool. Still keep going. Man, what a centaur creep. All right, let's get this tower. I want this tower. Tell your team to get this tower. Where are they going? Get this tower. Don't mango that guy. He's got so much mana that the individual mango is like actually not that good. Very kind of you, but it's not going to be enough. Oh, you ended up buying a full wand. I think just the Magic Stick is okay. Magic Stick, 2 Iron Branches, and then you can go for your Arcane Boots if you want. All right, so see how you guys... So this is something you can do. On the mic, pinging, whatever, I don't care. I think saying it nicely on the mic is probably the most effective. But you guys just got like 3 kills up here, I think. You have a catapult. This tower should die. You should at least have 3 of you. If Skywrath wants to go home because he's a mid, fine. But you, and you, and you should all be up here. He places a ton of wards. Mango this guy, actually. So see, Skywrath, he was leaving. Skywrath, his mana pool is huge. You mango him, he gets to cast 1 spell. Not so useful. This guy, you mango him, he could place a ton of Plague Wards. He could cast this, his only, like, his 1 spell. Skywrath needs to spam out a bunch of spells. 1 spell for him is not useful. 1 spell for Venno is very useful. Or to have enough to use his ult and, like, Plague Ward a couple times, that's really powerful. So using your mango on him instead of Skywrath. But then, like, this guy, he also has a clarity that could have been unused on Venno. Point is, you help this guy have enough mana for all his spells, and then you siege this tower. That tower should be dead right now. 12 minutes. I mean, not like dead right now, but you should be pressuring it, and it should die like at 12 minutes. And in fact, whatever you're doing right now is not important enough. Let's go watch. If this catapult hadn't died, this tower would die. If you were here and something was happening like that, it's absolutely worth it to stand here. Okay, this is kind of high level. Stand here, tank the tower. So that's simple enough. Most people will think of that. The way these creeps are balanced, if you have someone who can nuke it very quickly and nuke these creep waves to die, that works. Or you can stand here, click your camera here, right-click this invoker, click back here, walk in a little bit. The enemy creeps will aggro to you, run into you. That will drag your creeps into you. And then you quickly back out, de-aggro on these creeps, and then start auto-attacking these creeps. What that does, the tower will immediately switch. As long as there's something else to hit besides the catapult, it will hit whatever else. So first it's going to be hitting you. Then you're going to pull these creeps in. And once you de-aggro, it'll switch to these creeps and not hit your catapult. You may die from this. To be honest, taking a lot of tower shots, tanking these creeps, you very well might die. I would be okay with you dying right here to save this catapult because it would mean this tower falls. And that's far more valuable than your life right here. But that's kind of a high level play. But at the least, staying up here to push, like that would have fixed all of this. This is just kind of like a very other possibility. You're defending mid, which is like... It's like a good intention, but as you can see, like, you couldn't really do anything, you know? So mid would have fallen anyways, whether you were there or not. You were there, and we saw it fall. So if you weren't there, it would have fallen anyways, which means you could have stayed top, take this tower, and then you at least trade tower for tower, and then you still TP bottom, do all this. And that would have helped your team more than what you ended up doing. Why is it hovering over Enchantress instead of you?
Dire's bottom tower is being chipped away.
What's this guy have? Ocean Heart. I feel like Faded Brooch is better on him, but if he wants the Ocean Heart, I guess it's yours. You've been spending a lot of money on mangoes. Try to spend a little less. In fact, consider a Ring of Basilius, consider Clarities instead. Mangoes are pretty expensive and not that cost efficient, so they're really good for the lane, but after that, it's eating into your money. You're getting kills, you're doing stuff, but like look how poor you are, and it's because you're spending so much on consumables. Try to sneak in a Raindrops, a Ring of Basilius. It is slower, but it's more cost effective because they'll last as the game goes on, and really you have enough. You have enough for your 2 spells. That's kind of like all you need, and then the idea is that in the minute between all that stuff happening, the Ring of Basilius, stuff like that, that'll give you enough mana regen to eventually have it up again. I don't know if I would have ran in here. Maybe if you had your ult you could, but I don't know. That fight's just not happening, so I don't think you had to die there.
Killing spree.
If you had your ult, it's a little different. I guess you guys did get the Invoker. I still don't know if it's worth it. I kind of think you guys just back off, and that's safer. Oops. So he should die. I think that's probably okay, as long as you guys convert that into tower pressure. Right now, Sven is farming on his own. That's great. Sven didn't even need to pressure that tower. It would have actually been better for him to just keep farming, but that's still good. We just want Sven to farm and you guys to pressure. And so this is good right now, what you guys are doing. You got 3 people up here. 4 people, sorry. And you just dragged Viper up here. That means Sven's going to be free to farm. I wish Sven was farming mid, but that's not your problem. I mean, it's technically, it is a problem for you, but it's not something you can control. You can maybe tell him, like, oh, maybe go to the free mid lane, which creates pressure for the team. But, you know, there's only so much you can do to tell your team stuff. Even though you guys just all died there, I'm still okay with this. Sven has been free farming this whole time, and this is what you guys should be doing. So, I think that's good. Now you're coming top. Now you're getting your arcane boots. I haven't seen the ward scenario situation in a bit. I don't think you were carrying them for a little. I may just not have been paying attention. You're thinking about stacking.
Killing spree.
I guess that's okay. Yeah, my concern was like, oh, maybe you should be pushing with them, but it looks like it's kind of okay. So... don't go too crazy here. Uh-oh, someone's going too crazy. Just to highlight this, it's 16 minutes, 17 minutes here. This tower's still up, and we were saying, I think this should have died at 12 minutes. So this is like, the game has been delayed 5 minutes for you guys because we didn't capitalize on that opportunity earlier. So it's... you know, it's very much something you could have helped control. I want you to, like, know you had the opportunity, you know? Because I know it's frustrating playing hard support at these kind of ranks where the cores sometimes seem not to do effective stuff. But there are some things we can do. And like that, taking this tower earlier and moving the game along, that is one of the things that I think you could have had a direct impact on. Why does he keep doing this? Like, keep showing Enchantress instead of you. Going for a Glimmer second. It is just generally a good Witch Doctor item. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to... it's going to have less use this game because of Witch Doctor ult. You can't use it to save people as much. But it's still very good on you and helps you survive a lot of this magic damage, so I think it's a fine second item. That guy's dead. I don't think you needed to rotate for him. He was just dead. I would have stayed top with your team. Your spells are very powerful to enable your team to get kills. Can you get solo kills? Technically, yes. But I mean, look at them. Look at their heroes. Are you getting a solo kill on any of these guys? Funny enough, the only guy you can solo kill is Viper. Why? Because everyone else has a way to cancel your ult. So you being on your own, not going to be very helpful. But being with a Veno, who does a little bit of, he like does a moderate amount of damage, but has trouble like actually getting the kills, fixed by Maledict. Sven or Skywrath, who has the damage, but then just needs help getting the damage in, you got a stun. And if there's not enough damage for whatever reason, you've got your ult. But you need to be with them. And so that's why I don't want you to TP down here to save Veno. Some of that is just experience to know like he's too far from where you teleport and like he's gonna take too much damage. But that's just something that'll like build in over time. So I'm not gonna worry too much on it. Smoke happening here. So for you guys, your next steps right here would be to pressure this area. And I think the way to do that would be to have, so you had a couple sentries, get a couple wards. You say that smoke happens, you guys go up here, de-ward this area to check their own wards, place a couple of your own in kind of like sneaky locations, something like over here, something not, like if you place it here, it's very likely to get de-warded. You place it here, very likely to get de-warded. You should put your sentry like around here, maybe have your courier check high ground, or actually just put your sentry on here, that's fine. You put a sentry over here because this is common for them to ward, and then place your observers, you know, further in. And then come like pressure this mid tower. And that way you'll see people rotating in top to come fight you, and then you'll know, okay, back off. And if you don't see anyone rotating in, then you know like, oh, they're probably coming from this direction, so we should stand like on this half because we know it's safe because we have those wards. But that would be your next objective while Sven continues to farm. He's actually at the highest net worth right now, so this is decent for you. It is a tough Sven game actually because of Viper and Shadow Demon, but still this is kind of what you want to happen. Not ideal, but at least Sven is farming. You guys might lose mid here. So this is good for them. They just got 3 kills and they're pushing this with the catapult. Oh, I like that. The old alacrity on the... Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Oh no, Sven came here. Don't want that actually. Maybe this is okay. Okay, we get 2 kills. Can we take this mid tower? Note this mango tree. We might want to kill it later. So we have an issue here. We dove. People got really low. They had to get out. Miraculously, no one's died. But at the end of the day, we didn't get this mid tower. What's it at? You know, this was the most important thing to get from those kills, and you guys ended up diving too far for this. As a support, can you stop your cores from diving? Maybe, maybe not. The most you can do is say, please prioritize this tower. Get the tower. Do not dive. Sometimes that's enough. That's all people need to hear. And they will focus it. And if they don't, well, at least you tried your best. But I promise, if you say that, if you say these things nicely every game, generally it'll go in your favor. Because most people aren't like that mean where someone politely asks like, hey, could we hit this tower, please? You know, more often than not, you'll usually have people who will listen in. Maybe you guys have poor experiences with that. You're going to disagree. But in my own experience, like if you say things nicely enough, yes, some games people will tell you to shut up and they hate you, whatever. But other times, like they'll be like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. I was a little tunnel vision on getting the kill, but what he says makes sense. He'll come help you. You know, if you can identify the correct things and share that with your team, that is plenty as a support. Even if your hero doesn't have like as much impact past the early stages. Nice courier, by the way. All right, free kill. What can we do? Finish off this mid tower, I hope. Someone shove it in. I think you probably should help with that shoving in. I don't mind you coming up trying to help, but like, look how far it was for you to walk. Like, it probably would have been better to just push mid in. Now your team's kind of like backing away from it, like, you know. So I didn't check the timing, but on the top tower, we mentioned it at like 12 minutes, and then that was delayed for a really long time when it should have fallen. Now we're looking at the mid tower. And it's like, okay, this should have fallen earlier, but then we like dove really hard and it like sort of worked out for us somehow. But like, I honestly didn't care about those kills. I wanted this tower. This was the most important thing, and we didn't get it. And then here's another opportunity, you know. So this is living in like an extra however many more minutes, and it's like, it really shouldn't be. For interesting comparison, it should be out by the time this video is out, but we did a Why Did I Lose episode 12, I think, and at like 15 minutes into the game, like multiple towers are down, and here we are at a lower rank. That one was like a divine. This one is, you know, Crusader, and we see like multiple opportunities to get towers, and we're not doing it. So if you want to start rising in ranks, it's not about identifying kills you can do, it's about identifying objectives you can get. And if you feel like, oh, I'm just a support, I can't do that on my own. One, there are a couple supports who can do it on their own, so maybe you have to play one of those guys. But if you just share with your team, you know, that's a way to prioritize it well. Great. If I don't see this mid tower fall, I'm gonna have an aneurysm. Thank goodness. All right, someone cut this tree. What can we do right now? You can place a deep ward and farm this area. You guys probably can't take this mid tower. If you want to pressure it for a bit, that's fine. But I also think this is a great time to deep ward their jungle here and let Sven like steal their ancients or something. You can still deep ward regardless. If Sven wants to pressure this mid, fine. Do you not have the crawling blade anymore, man? It's gone. Do we not have a way? Oh, this is sad. Their mango tree is just surviving. I honestly think to cut the mango tree, it might be worth to like buy a set of tangos, keep them in your backpack. No. Okay, you got the Iron Talon. Just backpack this Iron Talon, walk in sometime, drop it. This is a little greedy of you. This should probably go on the Skywrath, and you take the shovel or the Faded Brooch. Nether Shawl, also pretty decent. They have a ton of magic damage. Nether Shawl is really good this game. Just try to give your cores the more powerful items. All right, so we had those kills and that opportunity, didn't end up placing a deep ward in that time, so that's going to make it harder to make future plays. Anytime you get kills as a support, you should question, can we get an objective? Can I place a ward? Oops. Someone's invis here. Oops. Double smoke, double sentries. It's okay, it happens. Unfortunate, but it happens. Ooh, third smoke. Can't believe you guys had so many smokes on you at this time. Okay. What'd I just say? Just got 2 kills. Can we get an objective? Can we get a tower? Or I'm sorry, place wards. So take a look. Take a look at the minimap. You tell me. I'm kidding, I can't hear you guys. But tell yourself, what should we do right now? All right. Mid? We're very close to mid. But our creeps are actually not here. It would take about, I would say 30 to 40 seconds for you guys to run down here. That's about 10, a little less maybe. Kill these creeps, run back up. You know, that's probably about 20 seconds at that point. And then hit this tower. And in fact, that's a little short. I do think it should be like 30 seconds. Or you guys run top. Hey, look at that. Your creeps are right by this tower. So even though you guys are next to mid, I think you should come get this tower. And I think you don't have a ward. Does your other support? She does. So I might suggest like, hey, can you drop a ward somewhere like in this area? And if you had the ward, you could do it. If you guys were planning to smoke, I don't think you want a ward right outside Roshan. If you plan to smoke, that means you're going to go be deep in their territory. You want to make sure you have a ward to place while you are there. So I would hold on to the ward in that sense. All right, so we're diving and dying. I mean, does that make much sense? I don't mean that in a flaming way, but like, we got 2 free kills. It was 5 on 3. and instead of an objective, we actually just fed back 2 kills, and we killed Luna, but Sven died. He could be farming this whole time while we take a tower. You know, it's like, this is what supports do. You win, like you have a lot of impact in 10 to like 15, 20 minutes. And then after that, it's a lot about shot calling for your team, which can be scary for a lot of people. But like, I mean, obviously supports have impact further as well. But like, I think that's something everyone can do. And it helps to direct the cores. You know, if you guys feel like my cores are so dumb, that's okay. If you are smart, you can help direct them. If you just let them continue to be dumb and don't say anything, then like, well, you're just gonna have dumb cores. That's what's gonna happen. So you gotta try to do something. You gotta tell them like, hey guys, I think this is a really great time to go push top. You know, like, nice fight, let's go get this objective top. You know, be this friendly, positive force that helps to direct those dumb cores and put their, you know, put them to use. He's got money. He's just not making great decisions because he's diving. Help him make better decisions by telling him, hey, let's go top. They're dead. Don't dive. Just take the buildings. And someone cut this mango tree.
Radiant's bottom tower is not covered. Not much good's happening to Radiant's bottom tower.
So we're TPing out, saving her.
Radiant's
Nice of
bottom
you.
tower is under attack.
Building Aether Lens next. I guess it's okay. I also think it would be nice to get maybe a medallion. Medallion would help you guys do Roshan. You guys aren't the best at Roshan, but a medallion would help. And a medallion would help enable Sven, either by protecting him, or you cast it on whoever he's hitting so he does more damage. That would be good. They don't have the most physical damage, so the medallion loses some value in that regard. But the medallion's pretty cheap, only 1,000 gold. So, you know, I really like it. Gives you more mana regen, gives you some armor for, you know, they do some physical damage. Solar Crest later, also really good with Sven. You built a Glimmer Cape, so, like, I think Pipe is really good on your team. It's weird for you to build both, though. Oh, nice. See, this is our dumb core, but he's got the gold. He's got the strength. You just got to direct him a little bit.
Not much good's happening to Radiant's bottom tower.
Okay. All right, let's watch him try to do Roshan. You're teleporting up here. You cast a spell, and now you're running to Roshan. Like, you see how hard this is? Medallion would help. It's still going to be a bit of a tough Roshan for your lineup, but it helps. Without it, it's really difficult. I wouldn't do this anymore. They're all up at this point. It's too risky, in my opinion. Yep, here they are. So that's another thing you can do as a support. Say, I don't think we can do Roshan anymore. Let's get out of here. That would have avoided 2 deaths right there. 3 deaths? 4 deaths. Oof. And in fact, they should get Roshan right now. Luna, yeah, they're heading into it. So, that mistake cost your team 4 deaths and Roshan. And that's something anyone, not even just supports, but it is like something we can do. Like, anyone can make the call. This is not a good time to do Roshan, guys. Let's leave. And that all could have been avoided. If you want to get Aether, overall, I think it's okay. But you definitely want to disassemble your Arcane Boots for it and not get... I don't know. I think this isn't worth it. In fact, if you didn't buy this energy booster and instead bought Voidstone, you would pretty much have the rest. You would have the Aether Lens right now, actually. So... if for whatever reason you still feel like I really want Arcane Boots after that, and of all games, like against the Invoker, it kind of makes sense, I would still disassemble it, finish the Aether Lens, and then buy Arcane Boots again. But usually if you're going to turn Arcane Boots into something else, usually you leave it at Brown Boots or turn it into Tranquil Boots. You don't really get it again. But in this game, I wouldn't hate it. Even if you want to leave it and finish up a a second copy without disassembling it, I still think you should buy the Void Stone instead of an energy booster. I think mana regen is more valuable than overall mana pool much of the time. Yeah, you probably want to carry Dust against Invoker. I haven't commented on that, but he's really fast, so if you play sentries for him, he tends to just run out, and then what, you know? But if you Dust, you slow him a bit, and it carries over wherever he goes. Okay. Bit of a defensive ward here. I'm noticing you have to like TP everywhere. That is kind of a... It does cost a lot of money. You know, so we just TP'd bottom, placed a ward, and then just walked back into our own base. So like, why not walk down there? You know, where we really needed there so urgently that we had to TP. Cost a lot of money, and it... At this level, maybe the implications of losing your teleport aren't such a huge deal because the enemy team won't capitalize on it. But the further up you go, the enemy team will start, hey, this guy teleported bottom, make a play top, that kind of thing. And so I want to encourage building good habits now. So try not to TP around too much. The game's kind of hard at this point, to be honest. Missing out on some of your... Losing this Roshan was kind of the big turning point. Up until that point, things were going okay. You've given them kind of a lot with Roshan. That fight and Roshan and objectives has made the game very difficult at this point because there are many ways to control Sven. Mainly being the Viper ult and Viper Strike, and I don't even know what this is called. I rarely see this. Demonic Purge. Both of them pierce BKB and make his life pretty miserable. And then you have a bunch of magic dealers who, when they have BKBs, it's just not going to be that great. So at this point, the game's already like really tough, and I would prefer, like, we'll still watch it, but if I had to tell you, like, I would just tell you, like, don't worry about everything else after this. The main things to worry about are like some of those shot calling, like, hey, get this tower, don't dive, that kind of stuff. Don't do Roshan right now. Or like placing wards when you're like going deep. Like that kind of stuff is more impactful and will prevent us from getting in this situation. But we're still going to see because there's a chance. Sorry, I just hit the mic again. My bad, guys. Let's check out the neutrals. What do you guys have? Because you're using this cooldown one, and I don't know if this is the one you want. So, you don't really need the regen. And the cooldown, well, one of yours doesn't even have a cooldown, really. And then the others are just not that significant, I think, to have on such a low... I mean, it's not even that low of a cooldown. This is about one fight. You'll get to cast it once, maybe twice. But you would have gotten to do that anyways without this Quickening Charm. I think the Quickening Charm, for you, I think you either want the Ring of Aquila, this Essence Ring, because both of these are auras to help your... Oh, this is an aura to help your team, and it gives you mana regen. This gives you a lot of mana regen and some survivability. This gives you some magic resistance, and that's kind of okay. This would be really good just to boost up your team. You are a support, after all. And then let Venno, who's going to be more on the front lines, let Venno take, like, Nether Shawl, so he is more resistant to all their magic damage and does more damage. Like, that's really good. Or he can take this or whatever. You should be the one carrying this and let him take something more useful. And tell your cores, like, please pick up a new neutral items. Maybe you are. There's nothing you can do about that. But if you noticed and didn't say anything, you know, tell them to it. And that is something you should notice. Anytime before you take a high tier neutral item, you should be checking, like, hey guys, does no one else want this? All right, this repair kit actually gives us a way to come back if they dive too hard and you repair kit that base. All right, she's dead.
Radiant's bottom tower's got
Ah! game's just really hard at this point. She's diving a little too hard instead of taking these buildings. Looks like they're still gonna get these buildings. It's a really tough game for your ult. They have so many ways to cancel it. Let's rush in, go help Sven. Can I try to look where Sven is? There he is. You're running to help the guy, so try to keep your camera, like, move up to check on him and then come back to your own hero. Didn't someone have a force staff? Someone force staff through this tree. Something, please. Okay, they fortified this. That's actually a mistake on their part. I think you can get this and then even pressure high ground. He's dead for 36 seconds. He's dead for 23. I think you could pressure high ground a little bit, even if you just hit it like a little. Chip it down like a fourth. That's good for the future. Right now, I think what you guys should do should be in this area, kind of waiting. And as this guy respawns, they're going to come out. Luna is up here, TP'd up there as well, which means at best you'll have a 5-on-4. And if you stay in this area, I promise, it happens so often at low ranked games. People just wander out. They get restless and they wander out. And so if you stay here with like the Skywrath and you see someone walking up this cliff here and you Maledict stun into Skywrath ult, that guy's just dead. And now you have another opportunity because that guy's dead and it's now 5-on-4. You have another opportunity to take an objective or to pressure high ground. I try not to encourage like focusing on kills, but getting kills is a fantastic way to open up objectives. And so if you keep that in mind, then it is okay to think about like, see, look at this. 1, 2, they're coming out. They're restless.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Okay, forcing out a lot of stuff. Get the objective. We do have to back now because Luna was split pushing a lot of us back though, which means all of us have to get out now. Roshan should be up soon, so you should pick up any wards you can and start to heavily de-ward and ward this area so that you can play over there. Fine, I'm trying to farm out mid. That's not too bad. Uh-oh, definitely can't walk up here alone. Not without seeing more people. Oh, there's a couple on the bottom. I think it's still a little scary to walk up there because you can be solo killed by a lot of people. So you want someone to help you out. Have them walk up. What's happening? Moving up. We want to move to their side and place some wards. This smoke is really awkward so far. So what should have happened? Smoke, and then it really doesn't matter. As long as you guys have a coordinated movement, I don't really care where you go. Optimally, I would say either a little risky, but you could directly cut up here, or a little less risky. Someone pushes this because there are catapults here. This has to be dealt with. So someone kills all of this, which leaves your catapult alive, which means someone will eventually on the enemy team have to deal with this lane when it pushes in. So someone push this, then you smoke, and then you like cut up through here, deep ward like back here or here or here, maybe place a sentry, and then like wait in this area and try to get someone to like, you know, like I said, people just wander around. So someone will wander up here eventually, you kill him, and then that's an opportunity to do Rosh. You guys are kind of like awkwardly in the middle here, and I'm worried someone's gonna get picked off and killed. Kind of looks like that's what's gonna happen. Let's watch from this angle for a bit.
Not much good's happening to Radiant's bottom tower. Radiant's bottom tower is no.
Okay, you guys see some bottom. So this is the power. This is why I want you, like, I know you placed, I think you placed these wards. But that's why I wanted those wards placed previously when we were like up here, and I was like, okay, we can get this, we can pressure this and play some deep wards. Because when you have deep wards, you can make these kind of decisions where you see people out and you can go look for kills. Unfortunately, again, you guys are walking through their mango tree, and so they're going to see you coming in. This really needs to die. And in fact, these 2 kills getting away is pretty much a direct result of this mango tree still being alive at 40 minutes. Even though there should be, let's see, someone has it. Yeah, he has a 4 staff, and there's an Iron Talon in base. Buying 90 gold for the Tango, paying 130 for the Quelling Blade, all worth it. Like, these kills could have led to, you know, racks. How worth it is that? Very worth it. So that mango tree really needs to dive. You know, you're running in. This fight is coming in a little too far away. Okay, buy back. That's kind of good. We got to get out. Sven died. We got to get out. Buybacks and Sven is still pretty good. Oh no, I didn't want Sven to buy back. Oh, because Luna's in your base. That's why you guys had to get it sooner. I was focused on you guys. I wasn't watching. So this was super bad for you guys. Because Luna got racks. Sven bought back and died. I don't think Sven had to buy back if you guys left sooner. And in fact, I don't even know. I don't really think you guys should have dove that far. I know not 100% your fault. In fact, it's mostly not your fault. Sven was like just way in there while you were back here. So that's mostly Sven's fault. And the most you can do there is say like, hey, don't dive, like get out, like wait for Rosh on. But you still have this opportunity where this guy like bought back, and if you can get a kill and then get Aegis on Sven, you have a chance to come back. A little hopeful ult. Woo! I think that actually would have killed you. It's gonna be pretty tough from here. He's always in so deep. I know we're kind of going sort of fast through this stuff, guys, but it's because I don't know how important it is at this point. I want the lessons to be focused on the previous stuff, and I'm still curious what happens here, and watching the fights from like a greater perspective, which is why we're here. But like the individual micro lessons are not so important at this stage. So like these kind of fights are tough because Sven keeps going in really far, and you guys do not have heroes that like catch up, like blink initiators. That's why these fights are kind of awkward, because Sven goes in on his own. He gets like Viper ulted, Shadow Demon ulted. There we go. And then like you guys try to run in, and a tornado comes out, an ice wall comes out, a tiny comes and combos you guys, and the fights are really awkward. And that's kind of on him to know not. He should know not to like dive so hard. Hey, nice. Unfortunately, Sven died. He's the guy that needs Aegis, and he's the guy who can do Aegis because he's the right-click carry. What even is the game plan at this point? Face checking's pretty risky at this point. Yeah, you almost paid the price for it. I don't think he needs a TP out there. TPs are valuable resources. Be a little careful. Let's say you're going for the Ags. It's a really tough game to get your ult off, but at the same time, I suppose you need a Desperation Ags with the way this game's going, so maybe it's alright. I still like Solar Crest, so you can buff him up before he goes in on his own like that, but I'm kind of okay with a Desperation Ags as well. Okay, one last hurrah. Unfortunately, based on the results of this game and the time, I don't think it's going to work, but we'll at least get to see why it doesn't work. And that's that Sven is very much a burst-heavy commitment hero, and when you have Aegis against him and Cheese, that makes it very tough for him. Skywrath too, he's kind of like this one-trick pony in a fight. He can do it again in a little bit, but the fight's probably decided at that point. That's why you guys need to get Aegis, not just because Sven doesn't have BKB, but because you don't want them to have the Aegis. That sounds obvious, but it's like, it matters more in some lineups than others. Like Troll, he doesn't really care if he's strong enough. He just kills them again. And like PA, Ursa, they don't really care if the enemy team has Rosh so much as like they wanted Rosh on. But you guys care that they have Rosh on. Yeah, there's that Cheese. This actually might have worked out if they didn't have the Aegis. Sounds super obvious, like, oh, maybe we would have won the fight if they didn't have such a big advantage.
Radiant's bottom barracks have fallen.
But I don't know. It is obvious, but I mean, like, we didn't prioritize Roshan, so maybe it wasn't obvious enough. It's obvious now that it's happening, but we needed to know this was going to happen if they got Roshan, and we needed to like base our game plan previously on that. And so that's why it is obvious, but we'll throw it out and mention it.
Radiant's
What just
middle
happened?
tower shouldn't have to take this
Oh, maybe you're like alt tapped or something because the game's over. All right, this game's done. Let's close it out. Okay, summary time. So, your lane wasn't too bad. I think you buy a few two consumables. I'm conflicted. I'm glad you buy extra consumables in this lane, but I still think you went a little too overboard. I saw a few too many salves and some later game mangoes that I think should just be clarities, and that would save you a little bit of money. But overall, the lane was like not too bad, I think. Try some half pulls. I think that'll help. But overall, the laning survived. The thing I want you to like really remember is that we saw multiple opportunities where we got kills. Like, that's good. We won fights. And we don't convert it into anything. You know, that's partly a team issue, but you can direct the team and you can say, hey guys, like, stay up here, get this tower. Hey guys, don't dive, just get this tower. Move with me into their jungle so we can ward. Do Roshan now. Don't do Roshan now. All those kind of things. That is something that any player can do, but might as well be us as supports. Kind of be the shot caller and help direct the team. Because that's really what I feel like I saw from this. Is like, yeah, there was stuff you could improve on. I'm sure you know that, right? There's stuff we can all improve on. But it seems like at this level, what I'm seeing more and more from these replays is like a lot of missed opportunities. Like, hey, we're like doing okay in the lane. Hey, we're winning these fights. We're getting kills. And then we're not getting the towers. So try to direct your team to get the towers. Or you could, I mean, maybe you like Witch Doctor. You're level 15. That's pretty high. He is unfortunately not the best at playing on his own. If you really feel you can't coordinate with your teams, playing someone like Shadow Shaman, Jakiro, these people can pressure towers on their own, and I think that gives them a lot of value in these brackets. But if you don't want to play them, I totally understand. And I think that's okay, because we saw that on this Witch Doctor game, I think you could have won this if you'd helped direct your team to take objectives a bit more. And there were a couple times we saw you walk away from the objectives as well. So it's not just your team, you know, that's something you need to prioritize too. And I think that's all I want to emphasize here. I didn't have a huge issue with your itemization. We talked about some slight changes. I think your skill build was all right, all of that. So it really comes down to trying to help focus your team on those objectives, because that is what wins the game at the end of the day. And I know that's frustrating because you like entered this feeling like a little annoyed with your teammates, but I hope we highlighted opportunities where like I genuinely think your own actions can help to push your team. Like, you only need to push them a little. Like, you take this tower, it will have snowball effects. Like, you get them to listen once every, like, you know, in 10 games, you get them to like sort of listen to you occasionally, like in 4 to 6 of the games. That will have direct results. I promise. You know, getting a tower 5 minutes sooner, it snowballs. Where if they don't listen to you anymore after that, they don't have to, because they're just naturally in the lead, and like their incorrect decisions doesn't hurt you as much. If you can help get these like towers and stuff sooner, because you're already doing okay in the lane and so on. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.